Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, with more Pillar Loves Tabletop games. Today is Runebound. Very specifically, it's the second edition. The main difference between the first and the second is that the first had a d20 and cardboard standees, but also had the engraved terrain dice, which I would rather have instead of the sticker dice. But instead of the d20s, we now have 2d10, which makes figuring out your odds a little bit better. So at the start of the game, every little space with the jewel shown gets a token on it. That's where you go take on adventures and fight challenges or encounters or set off events. Events are permanent changes to the game, which can only be replaced by one of the same or a higher level. A particularly nasty one removes a town from the game. But there's a lot to find. So at the start, you will have either a random or an mutually agreed upon choice of hero. For me, since there's 12 heroes and a maximum of 6 players, what I like to do is deal 2 to each player and let them decide. But you will also have 3 money for buying items that show up in the game. And then once everything is set up, you're good to go. So at the start of your turn, you will have to refresh anything that are any cards that you have that are face down. And then movement. On the very first turn of the game, you start in town earlier. One of the house rules I'd like to experiment with one of these days is starting in a completely different town. Or starting in whatever town you want, but I digress. As long as you have no wounds or exhaustion on your character, you get all 5 movement dice. If not, you only get 4. But you can remove 1 die for every exhaustion you have to clear that exhaustion before rolling. Also, or instead of healing your exhaustion, you can simply move 1 space. Stuff like swamps and mountains that you really want to get into is what that is good for. But I'm going to say, so let's go on and move. Okay. So this is what I roll. For each of these dice, I can go into a road, a plains, or hills. This one shows rivers and forests. Shows rivers and swamps. This one shows mountains. Any result can be used for a town. But I want to go adventure. And I want to get closer to a town that, has something. So I will use 1, 2, 3, 4 of the road dice to go here. And then if you have a jewel in your space for an encounter, you'll reveal it. This is a challenge, so I will fight it. I will go over the rules for challenge here in a minute. But let's say I went 1 step further and went to town instead. So, going into town, you can do a market action. Before taking any actions, draw a card from the market deck and place it face up on the stack of the town you're visiting. This is Riverwatch. There's now a Ring of the Arcane alongside a mace of killers. So while you're there, you can buy an item, spend gold equal to the cost. So I currently only have three gold, and the items cost 6 and 9 respectively. So I'm gonna have to go kick some butt to eventually get one of those. Hire an ally. Some cards are allies, which can fight alongside you. I will explain them more as combat. When combat comes up. Sell an item. Add one of your items to the market stack and take half of its cost, rounded down from the stack, or from the bank. Let's say I had Icy Doom, and I wanted to sell that. I would get 3 gold because it costs 6. And finally, there's Buy Healing. For 1 gold, you can discard 1 wound token, or all of your exhaustion. And once you're done with the market step, you're pretty much done for the turn. If you have experience, which takes the form of these face up, of these tokens, you get them as you complete adventures, like fighting challenges and all that. You can spend a number of them based on the number of players in the game. There's a specific chart. In a normal game, with few players, it's 5. With a little more, it's 4. The full or almost full game is 3. There's a faster variant which reduces the cost by 1, and I always recommend that because this game is long enough as it is, and as fun as it is, I kind of like to keep games short where possible. But the experience can be spent on improving your mind, improving your body, improving your spirit, being able to take more exhaustion, and being able to take more wounds. The thing with taking more wounds means you start getting locked out of challenge colors. When you've increased your health by 1, you can no longer do green cards or green challenges or adventures. At +2, you can no longer do the yellow either. And at +3, you can no longer do the blue. Since you need to be able to encounter red to end the game, you cannot have +4 to your health, to your wounds. And then once you're done with your turn, it goes to the next player. And now we go into demonstrating combat. So I've chosen to end my turn where there's a green jewel for a green adventure card. And the card I have drawn is Razor Wing Mast. It has no before combat effects, so I'm not having to deal with that. My own before combat ability is that I can take 1 exhaustion to make a magic attack, which I don't really need to because I can take them out with a melee attack. Their health is that low. So after resolving any before combat stuff, we go to the phases: escape, ranged, melee, magic. You're only allowed to use like 1 item per round, and as long as it's like the kind that gets flipped over. Stuff that gets discarded and always on effects, they don't count. So free to use those as you wish. So I'm not going to try to escape. Instead, I'm going to try to attack during the the melee phase. You can only attack during one phase, but then you'll have to defend during the other ones. That's why it's important to have allies, because you can attack on one phase, they can attack on the others, and kill the challenge that much faster. So, I have a 1 to the 13 on ranged. I need to roll at least a 12 to not take damage. Because I'm defending, I won't deal any damage back. But the important thing is to protect myself. And I failed to do so. I rolled a 6. So I will have a wound. And then we go to the melee phase, which is where I want to make my attack. 4 against 11. Roll an 18. And the second number is how much damage I deal, which is 2. They can only take 2. So they are defeated. Reward. You receive the reward when you defeat the challenge. I get 1 money for the make. Yay. And then the card itself is either discarded to the bottom of the deck, or it's added to the Doom track if you're playing with the Doom track variant. And then the jewel that was there is now mine. I now have 1 experience. Try not to get killed in this game. What happens when you take enough wounds is you get knocked out, you lose your money and 1 of your items. Getting money in this game is difficult. Yeah, but at least you'll clear all your wounds and exhaustion. The item or ally you lose is the one that's the highest cost. And then your hero will move to the nearest town space. If you escape or get knocked out by something, it'll go to the undefeated challenge row, which is up here. It's kind of let's see if I can. There it is. It's up there. And then the token will go in its place. And then someone else can come by there and proceed to kick its ass for you. And win or lose, that's the end of combat. And if you have enough experience, you can level up, as I've discussed before. But in general, you're going to be exploring, discovering, fighting, purchasing, and building up your character until you can go after the big goal of the game, which is High Lord Margath. Defeat him and you win the game. But you have to go to one of the red challenge jewels in an attempt to find him. And you won't always have that guarantee, because there's all sorts of other things to encounter. Alternatively, you may find dragon runes by defeating those dragon lords. If you're playing with a Doom track variant, eventually the game is going to end, whether you want it or not, and you're going to have to face Morgoth in your condition, whatever it is. Or enough red challenges to win. And that's pretty much the game. That's Runebound. So, why do I love this game? Because it's an epic freaking adventure. There's between all the possible adventure cards and all sorts of items, it's going to be a different experience every time you play. And then, and also there's a crap load of expansions for it. My goodness, I printed out the checklist for my own benefit. Um, I was kind of surprised. I bought this used, so I was really surprised when it already came with 2 expansions of more enemies to fight. I decided to balance it out by adding more things to use. Oh yeah, things to use. I think I forgot to mention that during the game you're limited to two weapon, 2 weapons and 1 armor and 2 allies. But even with that stuff helping you out, there's no guarantee of success. That threat of failure, it's interesting to have that in mind at all times. And also, even if you do defeat adventurers, there's a chance for some of them to respawn when an event happens, because it'll show the little sunburst symbol. And there's always something within reach to go challenge, and it's just a fun experience of just go out and do stuff and potentially fight other heroes if they have something you absolutely need. Or even trade with heroes if you'd rather be diplomatic. This is a game I wouldn't mind finding more expansions for. Okay, so I had 3rd edition, right? I had 3rd edition, and for some reason, expansions for that game are stupidly hard to find. I think they underprinted on those, and they're stupid ass expensive on eBay. And also, 3rd edition itself, I mean, I respect them for coming out with it and trying to keep Runebound alive, but I didn't like the runecasting combat system, and the way the game worked in general. I enjoyed the 2nd edition experience a hell of a lot more. And the sticker dice for that game were even. I wonder if it was the condition of the game itself where the stickers were falling off more than I like. For some reason, these ones are actually holding up pretty damn well. But for that one, I actually painted like recessed face dice as replacements. But either edition is fine. It's Runebound. It's a big fantasy adventure. Get it, play it, have fun. This has been Pillar Nexus. Thank you for watching. See you next video.